Hello everyone. I hope you all are in high spirits and doing amazingly well. Today I've come up with my third and final video of reported speech, wherein I'm going to discuss the rules for converting interrogative, imperative, and exclamatory sentences into indirect sentences. Now, the links for my first two parts, part 1 and part 2, have been given in the description for your reference. So let's get started. The reporting verb is generally changed into verbs like ask, inquire, demand, wanted to know, wonder, etc. Now here we are talking about interrogative sentences, when we have to change interrogative sentences into indirect. So now first of all, what are interrogative sentences? See, interrogative sentence is any sentence that asks questions. Simple. So here we will use the words like, ask, inquire, demand. These are all words which are used for asking questions. And these are the words which we will be using to change into indirect speech. Next, the inverted commas and interrogative marks are removed. This I've already discussed in my previous video. Whenever we change a question sentence into indirect speech, it becomes an assertive statement, and all the question marks, inverted commas are removed. Interrogative is changed into declarative and assertive form, as I've already told you. In case the question is such wherein the answer is given in yes or no, we use if or whether after reporting verb to introduce the indirect question. When the question begins with interrogative words such as who, whom, what, which, when, why, where, how, etc., these are all called interrogative words. If and whether is not used. The given question word itself is retained to introduce the reported question. Let's see a few examples to understand these rules better. Okay, before I move on to the examples, one very important point to observe is the conjunction that, like in assertive sentences, we have done that we use the conjunction that to introduce indirect speech. But here we do not use, in interrogative sentences, we do not use the conjunction at all to introduce the indirect questions. So moving on to examples. What are you doing, Sam? Asked Nisha. Now, is this a yes or no question? No. This is actually, we have a proper interrogative word, what, right? So we will retain this word what to introduce the indirect question. Let's see how we've done it. Nisha asked Sam what he was doing. See, we've used what to introduce the question. And if you've observed, there is no that in indirect speech. So Nisha asked Sam what he was doing. Rest of the rules regarding the tenses, pronouns and all will remain the same as we've done before for assertive sentences. Okay, the same question can also be converted. Instead of asked, we can also say Nisha wanted to know what Sam was doing. Or we can even say Nisha wondered what Sam was doing. So here, you can use variety of words. It's not that you have to restrict yourself to asked only. Tom said to me, do you play cricket? Tom asked me whether I played cricket. Now see, this is a question wherein you can have the answer in yes or no. So that is why I've used whether. I can use if or whether. Tom asked me if I played cricket. That would be equally fine. Tom asked me whether I played cricket. She said to me, where were you last night? Again, I cannot answer in yes or no, right? So I will not use whether or if. She asked me where I had been the previous night. See, all other rules remain the same. Like the tense of the question, we have to change accordingly. Last night becomes previous night, right? Where is the interrogative word? which we have retained as such to introduce the interrogative indirect question. And she asked, we've used the verb asked. The tourist said, "Where is Red Fort?" The tourist inquired where the Red Fort was, right? He said to me, "Do you live here?" Again, I can answer it in yes or no. So he asked me if I lived there, or he asked me whether I lived there. He said to his mother, "Is the food ready?" Again, yes or no question. He asked his mother if or whether the food was ready. Okay, moving on to imperative sentences. Now, what are imperative sentences? Imperative sentences are those sentences which convey a command, an order, or a prohibition, right? For example, get out of the class. The teacher says to students, get out of the class. She's commanded, or you can say she's ordered the students to get out of the class. It is an imperative sentence. So rules for converting imperative sentences into indirect. The reporting verb say is generally changed into verb of command or request. For example, tell, order, suggest, command, ask, beg, plead, urge, remind, warn, forbid, advise, etc. It depends upon the meaning of the sentence. The infinitive is used in direct command and request. What is an infinitive? Infinitive is to, when to is used along with the first form of verb. Negative commands are expressed by adding not before infinitive. In sentences beginning with let, the reporting verb is changed into proposed or suggested. In place of infinitive, should plus verb is used. Okay, here again, the important point to note is that we do not use the conjunction that. Let's move on to the examples. Leave this room, the father said to son. Now the father, obviously the father is ordering the son, right? He orders the son to leave the room. So it becomes the father ordered the son to, this is infinitive, to leave. The father ordered the son to leave that room. Now, important point to note is I will not say the father ordered that the son should leave the room. That would be wrong. The father ordered. I will not use that. Instead, I will use infinitive. Okay. So the father ordered the son to leave that room. Next, the teacher said, "Be quiet and listen to my words." Now, the teacher is urging students to be quiet and listen to what she is saying, right? The teacher urged the students to be quiet and listen to her words. She said to me, "Please lend me your pen for today." This is a request. So, she requested me to lend her my pen for that day. See, today becomes that day. Pronounce the same change. Me becomes my. She said to me, "Please lend me your pen for today." Now this is a request. She requested me to lend. This is to lend is infinitive. To lend her. Me becomes her. Your becomes my. Today becomes that day. She requested me to lend her my pen for that day. The commander said to the soldiers, "Move forward." Now, this is clearly a command, right? So the commander commanded the soldiers to move forward. "Don't go near the fire, children," said the mother. Now, what is mother doing? Mother is warning children. Okay, and it is a negative command, right? Negative imperative. So how do we do it? The mother warned the children not to go near the fire. He said, "Let's go out for a walk." Now he suggested, sentences starting with let, suggested or proposed. He suggested that they or we, because there's no object, so we can just introduce object on our own. He suggested that they or we should go out for a walk. Now, another way of doing this sentence is he suggested going out for a walk. Okay, both ways we can do this. We can change this sentence. Next, converting exclamatory and optative sentences into indirect. Now, what are exclamatory sentences? See, exclamatory sentences are the sentences that express sudden emotion, right? And they make use of interjections to describe that emotion. And whereas optative sentences are the sentences that express a wish. So the introductory verb is changed into wish or exclaimed with joy or exclaimed with sorrow or some other similar words depending upon the sentences and the emotion it evokes. Now, interjections. What are interjections? The words showing exclamation such as alas, hooray, etc. are omitted. The exclamatory sentences are changed into assertive sentences. Again, as I've already described earlier, that there will be no exclamatory marks. The sentence, after converting it into indirect, will end with a full stop. It will be converted into an assertive form. The sentences which are incomplete or express sudden feelings are changed into full sentences. Exclamatory words like what and how are changed into very, highly, greatly according to the sense. Examples: he said, bravo, you've done well. Now, he is applauding the person, right? He applauded him by saying that he had done well. She said, how dreadful. Now, again, this is an incomplete sentence, but it has to be converted into a complete full sentence. She exclaimed that it was very dreadful. Now, here you can even say she exclaimed with horror that it was very dreadful. What kind of emotion is it evoking, right? You have to pay attention to that. The old woman said, alas, I have lost all my wealth. Now, alas, this is a feeling of sorrow, right? It evokes a feeling of sorrow. So the old woman exclaimed with sorrow that she had lost all her wealth. She said, oh dear, I've just missed the bus. Now, do you sense an element of regret here in this sentence? That she just missed the bus. So here we will say she said with regret that she had just missed the bus. They said, what a fine weather. So obviously when they are enjoying the weather, that means they are happy, right? They exclaimed with joy that it was very fine weather. He said to me, may God bless you. He prayed that God might bless me. Thank you so much. I hope you have understood the concept of reported speech well. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment on my videos. Thank you so much.